Hey, welcome everybody to another episode of Coach Steele's Finance Training. Happy to have you here. Of course, I am your host today for another training session. And of course, I am Coach Steele. And so, welcome on in the room as you all come on in. I'm happy to have you here. And of course, I am live on YouTube and I'm live on Facebook. So make sure you go subscribe to the YouTube channel, Coach Steele's Finance Training. And so I have a wonderful topic on today that I'm excited about here, ladies and gentlemen, and I look forward to multiple conversations about this subject. That way we can get an understanding and everybody can get a good grasp on what is required for them on this subject matter. And we're talking about what is your FFD? What is your financial freedom date? And this will just be part one of this series that we go over on today. I think it's important that we be educated and we understand what it means to have a financial freedom date. So good morning as you're tuning in to Coach Steele's Finance Training. I am live every Saturday morning, Eastern Standard Time Zone. And so I look forward to this fresh information, fresh conversation about financial freedom date and what it means to you as you're listening in. Those that are listening in, what does it mean to you? What does financial freedom date mean to you? How do you define it? And I would love to hear your thoughts and your comments when it comes to what financial freedom date, FFD, means to you. So as you're tuning in to Coach Steele's Finance Training, you already know what to do. Of course, make sure you say good morning. Make sure you greet me. Get that comment chat section popping, whether you're on Facebook or whether you're on YouTube. We have a lot to cover, a lot to talk about. And there may be some things you have questions about, things that you never even thought about when it comes to your financial freedom date, your FFD. And so many people don't think about it. Many people are not prepared for it. So it requires them to do certain things in life for a longer period of time than what they expected to because they never took time to study what it means to have a financial freedom date, and not only what it means, but how to get there. How do we hit that mark? So as you're tuning in to Coach Steele's Finance Training on today, that's what we're talking about. What does financial freedom date mean to you? And not only can you put that in the comment section, but do you have a financial freedom date? Do you have a certain year, a certain age, a certain number where you expect 2028, 2030, 2035, whatever it is this year? Do you have a financial freedom date in mind? And what are you doing to get there? So let's look at what it all means and what it boils down to on today. And so my note takers, I'll need you on today as we write down some of these things about financial freedom date. And this is part one of these series because we're going to understand it and we're going to talk about what are some things to consider when making a financial freedom date. I want you all to start considering some things you need to do for your financial freedom date. And then we're going to talk about different ways to get there as we continue this series. So financial freedom date is the point in your life when your passive income from investments, rental properties, dividends, royalties, or business, and we've talked about a few of these subjects here on Coach Steele's Finance Training, it consistently covers your living expenses without needing a paycheck, without having to clock in, without having to be on someone else's clock in time. To figure out a plan for it, let's talk about some key things to consider. So now, we understand what that means. There's money coming in every month, no matter what, or whatever time it comes in, and come in every week to where you don't have to necessarily be on someone's clock. And so you have to be able to define what financial freedom means to you, because financial freedom means something different to each and every person. So my question to you is, what is financial freedom to you on today? In that comment section, I want to hear, what is it to you? Everyone's going to have a different perspective. Good morning to you. I see you all as you're tuning in here on Coach Steele's Finance Training. Happy to have everybody tune in. I appreciate you taking time out on your Saturday morning to educate yourself and your family about more financial literacy. That's what we do at Coach Steele's Finance Training. We talk about all things financial literacy, and we try to take the complicated things and simplify them to where everyone can understand on a basic fundamental level. So, are you aiming to complete this financial freedom, like never be able have to work again unless you want to, or you're looking at like maybe partial freedom, kind of like work by choice only. So some people hit financial freedom, but they still have passion projects, missions, goals. They want to serve, they want to volunteer. Or are there some of you that are like, when I hit this financial freedom date, I'm not doing anything. I'm traveling, I'm enjoying my family, I'm spending time with the grandkids, the loved ones. And so in order to do any of this, no matter where you stand, no matter where you are on this barometer, so to speak, you have to know your financial freedom number. This is where it gets good, because you not only do you have to know the number, but there are things you need to consider when looking at a financial freedom number. One, you want to calculate at minimum, you want to calculate your monthly expenses. What does it take you to maintain your household January 1st through January 31st? What are those total monthly expenses every month? Now, keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about housing, food, insurance, transportation, fun, travel, you name it, all of those things, going out to eat, gas in your car. And something else I want you to keep in mind, sometimes when people pay insurance or subscriptions or gym memberships, they may pay them a year out. So I want you all to keep all of that in mind. If you pay insurance a year out or 6 months out, whatever it is you pay out, take those number of months, divide it by 6 or divide it by 12, so you can still factor that into your monthly expenses. So we don't want you to forget about that. Some people pay their home insurance monthly because it's in the escrow of their mortgage. But then some people have mortgages that are completely paid off and they're debt free. So annually they have to pay that mortgage. They have to pay that property tax. So if you have to pay your property tax annually and not monthly in your escrow, then what you all need to do is take your property tax amount, divide it by 12, and add that into your monthly expenses as well. And so when you find out that number, let's say someone spends $6,000 a month to maintain their household, $6,000 a month to cover all expenses, food, the basic necessities, and the things they enjoy, because we don't want to hit a financial freedom date and then not be able to enjoy life, right? And so there are some things that we want to accomplish and do. So if we use $6,000 as an example, all of my mathematicians that are tuning in to Coach Steele's finance training, what we want to do is find out what is that annual expense number. We know the monthly is $6,000, but now we want to find out what that annual expense number is. And so if we have to figure out what that annual expense number is, as y'all are tuning in, 6,000 times 12. Does anybody know what 6,000 times 12? So we can know what our annual expense number is. And you'll be surprised when you find out your annual expense number. When you find out how much money you spend on things, on all of these different items, it becomes very powerful because you know what it takes for you to maintain your family for the year. And it also lets you know what, to expect for far as your job. So 6,000 times 12, anybody have the answer? Anybody pick 72? If you pick 72, give yourself a pat on the back or clap your hands, round of applause. Of course, that's why I like Coach Steele's finance training, because it sharpens our mind, it gets our juices flowing mentally, and of course, we do a little math as well. Sometimes it's simple, sometimes it's complicated, but we challenge ourselves and keep ourselves fresh in certain areas. So that's $72,000. And so when we look at it for the average household, they probably spent at least $72,000 or more to maintain themselves. But think about this. What if your job, you only make $65,000? That means you're $7,000 short. So I wouldn't be surprised if someone who only makes $65,000, but their expenses for the year are $72,000, I'm not surprised if they have credit card debt or loans and things, because they don't make more. They don't have more coming in than they have going out. And that's how a lot of people end up in debt. And so some homes have two incomes. And so when they have two incomes, you have to do the math. And so if in fact your monthly expenses are less than what you have coming in, then there should be a flag, because you should look and pay attention and say, do I have any debt? And if I have debt, credit cards, personal loans, and other things, why do I have those things if I make more than I have going out? If I have more coming in than I have going out, I should be in the positive. I should be in the surplus. And so some of you may say, well, we had an emergency, or this happened, or that happened, or oil change, or a tire. All of those hypotheticals should be in your monthly expenses. That's something you have to calculate. Some people call it Murphy's Law. What I'm telling you is you should go ahead and account for new tires. You should go ahead and account for oil changes. You should go ahead and account for, you may have to go to the hospital for something, and there's going to be some fees or charges or monthly medicine that you might buy. Whatever it is, account for certain things, give yourself a buffer, be realistic. So anyway, so we want to know what that annual expense number is. All right, so after we know that annual expense number, we know the baseline amount of what your passive income must be for the year, or also for the month. If you have more than that, that's good. And so you want to track your current net worth and income streams. You want to see what you're working with right now. And so if you're not working with much at all, it's okay. You can start somewhere. So what are your total assets? What are your investments, your real estate, retirement accounts, whether it's 401k, 457, 403b, TSP, IRA, Roth or traditional, whatever it is, self-directed IRA. You need to look at all of those things. How much do you have in savings? Because that is what you're going to work with to get yourself to where you need to be. And so there are so many different passive income sources. When we talk about your financial freedom date, and that's what we're talking about on today here on Coach Steele's Finance Training. What is your financial freedom date? Do you know how to get there? And what are some basic things we can do to help us consider what our financial freedom number needs to be so that we can hit our financial freedom date? And so that's why we're going over some of these numbers. So I need you all to tune in, because there's a lot involved in finding your financial freedom date. You need to know your numbers. You need to know real expectations of your goals, how you're trying to live your life. And you need to know your total assets right now, because that's what you're going to use to build on. All right, so passive income sources here on Coach Steele's Finance Training. We've talked about this before. We've talked about dividend stocks. I've shown you all the dividend portfolio where I've done dollar cost averaging to show you that it works over a period of time. You need to look at, what type of interest you're making on your investments, if you're making any rent, if you have any side hustles, if you have a business that's cash flowing. And also you need to really, really look at your debts and liabilities. Now that is important when we talk about your mortgage, your credit cards, any loans, any car notes. Look at those debts and liabilities. Why? Because they're eating up your cash flow. They're eating up your money. And so as long as those things are there and it's eating up your money, it limits how much money you can make multitask. Of course, you all can go to my website and order a Make Money Multitask t-shirt, www.steelsfinanceacademy.com. You'll see it down there in the ticker. Click on shop. And when you click shop, it'll allow you to go buy a shirt, whatever color you like. And so think about those things. Car notes, mortgages. A lot of people, that's like their biggest monthly expense. Mortgages could be $1,500, $2,000, $1,000. Some car notes are $1,000, which is crazy because you probably could have went and bought a rental property and make $500 a month off that rental, $300 a month, eventually $1,000. My whole point is you can take a rental property and pay for your car note. Instead of buying the liability, buy the asset that pays for the liability. Make your money multitask. And so, ladies and gentlemen, those are things to consider. When will that mortgage be paid off? When will those credit cards be paid off to free up that money so that you can hit your financial freedom date and hit that financial freedom number every single month consistently like clockwork? So you want to know your debts and liabilities. Begin to write those things down. Another factor to think about or keep in mind is the investment factor. And so that's something that you really want to think about. And for my note takers, I know I have some great note takers here on Coach Steele's finance training. Point number one was define what financial freedom means to you. These are things to consider when you want to hit your financial freedom date. So we want to define what financial freedom means to us. Number two, we want to know your financial freedom number. And number three, we want to track current net worth and income streams. What do you have with now? What are you working with right now so you know what to build on? And number four, the investment factor. The investment factor. So some people choose to deal with their assets and their investments certain ways. Like for some people who have 401ks, retirement accounts, they want to do safe withdrawal rates. In other words, SWR, safe withdrawal rate. And many financial advisors, oh my gosh, and I hate this. Not that I hate the percent, but I hate the logic behind getting to this point and using that percent. They say many use 4% of investments per year. So if you have an investment, only pull 4% annually. And so that's something to think about, guys, as you're tuning in to Coach Steele's finance training. Whether you have a retirement account, I want you all to really think about it. And that's why there's nothing wrong with retirement accounts, but I wouldn't want to limit myself to a retirement account. The average American probably might have $250,000 saved in a retirement account, but what's 4%? If you only pull 4% from that, 250,000 times 4%, do y'all know what 4% of 250,000 is? I really want you all to think about that. I really want you all to really think about what 4% of 250,000 is. I'm gonna give you some time to do some math so that you can realize why I'm really emphasizing this point. I want to hear your thoughts and comments of if you take 30 years, 40 years to put money in a retirement account, and for some reason the average American might have 250,000 in their retirement account. When you look at 10% of 250,000, that's 25,000. So 10% is 25,000. So half of 25,000 is 12,000 and whatever. Now check this out. 4% of 250,000, and if you guess properly, it's $10,000. So if you spend, the average American, if they save 250,000 in their retirement account, and now to make it last for a long period of time, if you only draw 4%, then you live off of $10,000 a year. So $10,000 divided by 12, that's $833.33 a month. Who wants to live off of $833 a month? You really need to have like a garden and a farm in your backyard with some cattle and some things like that, because it's really going to be difficult in America to live 2 weeks off of $833. And so that's something to think about without assistance, without help. When we talk about our financial freedom date, these are the things we need to talk about. Because like I've said before in many videos, you do not, if you don't have to, you don't want to have to solely depend on the government to maintain you, because that Social Security is not enough. And so for someone, just think about this. If you have to live off of 4% off of that investment, off of that retirement account, if you wanted to try to survive and live off of $40,000 a year, how much do you need in your retirement account? How much do you need in this investment account just to have $40,000 a year? And I don't even want to begin to talk about, if it's taxed. So $40,000 a year is like $3,333 a month. And so many people struggle just to live off of $3,333 a month. What if your mortgage is $1,000? Now that leaves you $2,300. What if you spend another $1,000 on food? There goes $2,000 down the drain. That leaves you about $1,300 left to maintain and pay for everything else. Some people, their minimum monthly payment to pay certain bills and expenses is over $1,300 alone by itself, just to manage and pay debt. And that's why we have to be able to pay debt off at a faster rate. Thank you all as you are tuning in to Coach Steele's Finance Training. Everybody that is flooding in the comment section, good morning back to you. I thank you for taking time out. To listen to Coach Steele's Finance Training. We are talking about Financial Freedom Day. And so as you all tune in, we will hit this conversation and this topic again. But think about the fact that you may only draw 4% from your investment. Think about what you have in your retirement accounts right now today. What if you only have $30,000 in that retirement account? $30,000 times 4%, that's $1,200 divided by 12. That's $100 a month. We really have to start being creative. If I don't think I'm going to have the right amount of money in my 401k or my retirement account or investment account by the time I want to hit my financial freedom date, then I need to find other creative ways to hit this number besides just depending on whatever percent of my paycheck I have going into my retirement account. And that's why we have to be creative and learn how to make money multitask. Go to my website, order you a t-shirt, make money multitask. And so that's what we're going to talk about. Those are some of the things I want to build on when we deal with this point of the investment factor. Finding other creative ways to make passive income to hit your financial freedom number every month so that you hit your total annual financial freedom number every year, besides just doing it the conventional way. Giving yourself more than one option, because what if the stock market dips? What if it may go up? It may go down. What if it goes down in the month or the year that you want to retire? And so you may have to hold off and wait. But I'm talking about putting other things in place so that if there's a disruption in one plan, you have another option going on. And so you want to think about cash flow, whether it's dividend stocks, whether it's royalties, whether it's something you created, it's a business, whether you have learned how to license certain things that you do, or whether it's rental properties. You all know I love talking about real estate. So we want to consider balancing your growth investments and also diversifying, whether it's stocks, real estate appreciation, and cash flow assets, dividends, bonds, rental income. And number 5, something else that you want to consider when you're looking at doing a financial freedom date, I want you all to start considering your lifestyle decisions. That's number 5, lifestyle decisions. Why? Because the lifestyle you want to live is going to help determine your financial freedom date and what you need to hit that date. What numbers do you need to produce monthly? And so as you get older, there are certain things about your lifestyle that will change versus when you're younger. And one thing that I really think we underestimate in America is healthcare and insurance. Those two are often overlooked. Healthcare and insurance. When you're thinking about hitting that financial freedom date, everybody tuning in to Coach Steele's Finance Trainer, welcome to the team. We are building a great community here, talking about financial literacy. Make sure you go to subscribe to Coach Steele's Finance Training on my YouTube. Even if you're a Facebook listener or a TikTok listener, make sure you go to the YouTube channel and subscribe. So healthcare and insurance is often overlooked when people are thinking about hitting their financial freedom date. When you retire, it's possible that your insurance may go up. When you retire, it may require that you are doing more healthcare visits to check on your health and different things like that. So keep that in mind when you come up with your monthly expense number. That monthly expense number may be slightly higher than what you anticipated. And so you want to do a rough draft, then you want to go back and fine tune. So you may have to listen to this video multiple times as we consider certain things. Another important thing, do you plan to travel? Do you plan on just sitting in the house all day? Lifestyle decisions. That's why number 5 is so important on today. What type of lifestyle do you want to consider and think about doing when you hit your financial freedom date with that financial freedom number? Do you plan to downsize? You know, Do you live in a big house and all the kids have moved out and now you got empty rooms that you don't need, or you got this system using a lot of electricity and air conditioning, you may not need it. So some people may want to downsize. So as you get older, if you have a big yard, you may not want to cut 2 acres of grass at 70, 75 or 65 or whatever the case may be. If you don't want to cut it, maybe you downsize, or maybe you find someone to do your lawn care. And if you do, then now you need to put that in that financial freedom date decision making, because that's going to count as another expense. And so this is great information and great conversation to have when we talk about financial freedom date. Where will you live? That's also important. Some cities are more expensive than others. And so you can live in a lower cost area, and that may speed up your date. There are sometimes you can be around a big city, right? Being in the big city may cost you more to have a house or more to pay rent. But being in the outskirts of a big city, it might be a little bit cheaper not to live directly in the city, but in the outskirts on a smaller town. And so that may speed up your financial freedom date depending on where you want to live. And so you want to be able to maintain certain things about your current lifestyle. So make sure you factor that in to the equation. Number 6, risk management. Risk management is number 6. So what am I talking about? Inflation, that silent money killer. If you're not an investor, if you haven't acquired assets, inflation can be very, very dangerous for the average American. Will your investment keep up with inflation? Have you invested properly to be able to hedge against inflation? So that's something you want to think about today here on Coach Steele's Finance Training. Thank you for tuning in. Good morning to everyone. And if you're a first-time visitor here on Coach Steele's Finance Training, I go live every Saturday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time Zone. So make sure this isn't your last time. Go to my YouTube channel, Coach Steele's Finance Training, and check out some other great financial literacy videos. Now, taxes, that's something else you all need to think about. Optimize accounts, whether it's a 401k, Roth IRA, or your brokerage. Start thinking about how those capital gains, how that income is going to be taxed. Now, for a Roth IRA, you may not have to deal with taxes if you're receiving distributions from that Roth IRA. And diversification. Spread across asset classes to avoid dependency on one source. Because if something goes bad or something isn't well, we've seen what happened during a pandemic. The stock market crashed, eventually went back up. But if that's somebody's life savings in there, and that's what helped determine their financial freedom date, guess what? You need to diversify just in case. And so those are some of the things you need to think about. And we'll also deal with timeline and action plan. That's number 7. You need to have a timeline and an action plan. Estimate how many years, because this is what I want you all to think about. It's okay to say, I know my financial freedom date is, it's 2025. I know my financial freedom date is 2032. That's 7 years from now. 2032, I want to be doing A, B, C, and D. Okay, that sounds good. Let's say you need at least $6,000 a month, which is $72,000 a year. Well, if that be the case, ladies and gentlemen, then how are you going to have $6,000 a month in the next 7 years? And so you need to estimate how many years it will take based on your current savings rate, based on your current returns, your current strategy of money you're putting aside or assets that you're acquiring that are bringing you in passive income. Based on this rate, how many years will it take you to hit that $6,000 a month? So if this year you're making investments and investments are yielding you $100 a month, and that's your rate, you're at $100 a month of passive income, but you need to hit $6,000 a month, then you're off by $5,900 a month. How long will it take you to get to that point? In other words, you have to set realistic goals and expectations that you can actually hit. And what some of us need to do, if we want to hit those big milestones, We have to hit the smaller milestones and goals. Halfway net worth, first rental, first $1,000 a month. If you're trying to hit $6,000 a month, how do I get to the first $1,000 a month? This is important. It's very, very important, because when you hit the smaller goals, the larger goals become easy. Listen to what I'm saying. When you're trying to build your net worth, when you're trying to build passive income, because of compound interest, because you've hedged against inflation properly, and you begin to invest in assets, the smaller goals, let's say you wanted to get to 1,000 a month. If that took you a year, if it took you 2 years, let's do a hypothetical. Let's say it took you 2 years to make $1,000 a month in passive income. The next 1,000 you want to hit, let's say now you want to make it to $2,000 a month, it's probably not going to take as long, because you have assets and you have your money working for you at a different rate, at a different level, compound interest, hedging against inflation properly. It gets easier to make that next amount. It's a beautiful thing. And so you need to recalculate regularly as your income and expenses change. You have to recalculate all of your numbers, what those financial freedom dates and your financial freedom numbers are. And lastly, point number 8, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you all for keeping up with me here on Coach Steele's Finance Training. You've done an awesome job thus far. Once again, give yourself a pat on the back or a hand clap, because you took time out of your Saturday morning to increase your financial literacy and knowledge to make yourself better for you and your family and generations to come. And if you're just tuning in, make sure you go to the YouTube channel and subscribe. Number 8 is emotional and purpose side. You need to think about the emotional and the purpose side. So when you hit this financial freedom date and you hit these financial freedom numbers, what will you do when you hit that financial freedom? You need to have a purpose. You need to give yourself direction. I don't think it's just healthy to sit around the house and do nothing at all and allow your physical health to go down. You have to have some greater purpose and something to strive for, other goals to accomplish. How can you impact your community? How can you impact your family? There may be charitable events or things you want to dedicate time, energy, or even money to. Because you hit this financial freedom number, you may be financially blessed to be able to really have impact. And so freedom isn't just about money, ladies and gentlemen. It's about living intentionally, living with purpose and direction to become legendary, to be able to leave generational wealth, to be able to leave a legacy for your children's children, to be able to do great things, things that you aspire to do, to accomplish dreams and goals. Do you have to wait till your financial freedom date to accomplish your dreams and goals? No. But having passive income coming in every month so that you can solely focus on those things and get laser-like focus, tunnel vision on those things that you've been called to do, guess what? Hitting this financial freedom date and making it a goal and a target of yours is important. And so as we talked about financial freedom dates on today, what are your thoughts? What are your comments? Did you learn something new today? Did I give you something else to think about that you may not have considered before today? Some of this may have redirected your focus and said, you know what? I need to get back on track. I need to take this more serious. And so if you need to start with some of the basics with financial coaching, you can go to my website and you can sign up for some financial coaching. If it's just some basics on how to eliminate debt, you can schedule an appointment with me as well here on Coach Steele's Finance Training. Go to my website. You'll see it down there at the bottom of the ticker, www.steelsfinanceacademy.com. You can email me at coachsteelefinance@gmail.com, and we can have a conversation. Once again, if you're looking at financial coaching or need guidance on how to eliminate or get out of debt as well, so we can put a plan together for you to have great financial freedom. Once again, I appreciate each and every person tuning in to Coach Steele's Finance Training. You all did an awesome job once again on today. I love my community here at Coach Steele's Finance Training. And like I said, if you're new to Coach Steele's Finance Training, make sure, if you don't do anything else on today, make sure you go to the website. And right now, what you're looking at are just some of the shorts. I was uploading some shorts the past couple of days, and these are shorts from a lot of the videos that I've done. But if you just go click on the live tab, when you go click on the live tab, you will catch up on all the videos and information that we've been going over. I've been talking about Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, dealing with the real estate market, how to be profitable. We've been dealing with the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki. So definitely make sure you go and catch up on reading the book. We are going to go over many other books dealing with financial literacy. So that is the YouTube channel. So definitely go over there and ingratiate yourself with Coach Steele's Finance Training. Appreciate everybody tuning in. And I appreciate you all going to the YouTube channel and subscribe. You could have been doing anything else on this Saturday morning or whenever you decide to watch this, but you decided to take time out and spend time with me concerning your finances. You all be blessed and have an amazing day and find out that purpose.